I always believed betrayal would come with some warning. Some kind of thunderstorm on the horizon, a shift in the wind, a smell of smoke before the fire. But when it hit me, it came in the form of laughter. That stupid, sharp-edged laughter at a dinner table surrounded by people I once called family. It was a Friday night at Olivia's parents' house. Her mom made that dry chicken she called Tuscan style, and her dad poured everyone wine like we were in a damn vineyard instead of a dated living room in Ohio. Olivia's sister, Jessica, who had the personality of a tax audit, leaned across the table, wine-drunk and venomous. "How does it feel being the most useless one here?" Everyone laughed. Olivia most of all. Her laugh was loud, exaggerated, like she'd been waiting for this roast all week. Her perfectly manicured hand even reached out to high-five Jessica across the plates. Everyone laughed, except me. I smiled. Not a real one. The kind that crawls up your face when you're just done playing nice. And I said, cool and clean, "How does it feel knowing this useless one won't be paying your bills anymore?" Silence. It hit the table like a sledgehammer to bone. Jessica blinked. Olivia stopped mid-sip, wine catching on the corner of her glossy lips. Her father cleared his throat like it would erase the tension, and her mother dropped her fork, clattering on the plate like an exclamation mark. I got up, didn't touch my food, didn't say another word, just left the table, walked out into the crisp night, and for the first time in months, I felt like I was actually breathing. Let me back up. My name's Daniel Brooks, 35. Own a small construction business that I built from nothing with calloused hands and sleepless nights. Married to Olivia, was married, whatever, for 5 years. Beautiful, yeah. The kind of woman that looks like she stepped out of a commercial. But sharp, cold when she wanted to be, always needing more. More compliments, more vacations, more money. And I gave it. All of it. Every goddamn bit. But that dinner was the beginning of the unraveling. No, scratch that. That dinner just lit the match. The fuel had been piling up for months. Started small. Olivia stopped texting me during the day. She said she was just tired of the constant messages and needed space. Fair, I thought. Everyone needs room. Then the late nights began. Drinks with her friends turned into overnights at her sister's. The makeup in the car. The secretive smiles when her phone buzzed. I noticed. Of course I noticed. But when you're in deep, you tell yourself stories. You say, she's just stressed. You believe the lies because they're easier than the truth. But you feel it. That shift in the air. She stopped touching me like she used to. The kind of touch that feels like you matter. I became invisible in my own home. A ghost that paid the mortgage. But I said nothing. Until that dinner. Until I saw how much she enjoyed watching me squirm. How much pleasure she got from belittling me. That laugh wasn't just laughter. It was cruelty wrapped in amusement. And that's when something inside me snapped. Not in anger. Not yet. But in clarity. See, that's the thing about betrayal. It's not always knives and shouting. Sometimes it's smiles and silence. Laughter around a dinner table while your world is cracking beneath your feet. That night, after I left the house, I didn't go home. I drove to the office. Sat in the dark with just the hum of the fridge in the break room and the weight of everything pressing down on my chest. I replayed the night again and again. The look on her face. That smirk. That damn smirk. And something whispered to me, she's been lying for a long time. So I opened my laptop. Logged into our joint phone account, pulled up the call logs, the messages, the locations. What I found made my stomach twist into knots. Same number over and over. Late nights, lunch breaks, weekends when she said she was with her mom. A name I didn't recognize. Ryan Mitchell. Calls, messages. One with a heart emoji. One with a hotel address. Time-stamped for 2 nights ago. And the worst part? She wasn't even being careful. That's what broke me more than the betrayal. The laziness of it. Like she knew I'd never check. Like I was too useless to ever catch her. I sat back in that chair, heart beating slow and hard like a war drum, and stared at her name in my contact list. My hands shook. My face felt hot. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just said, to the empty room, "She's not going to get away with this." The next morning, I didn't go home. I didn't even text her. I sat in my truck outside a diner, drinking burnt coffee and watching the rain smear across the windshield like it was trying to wash away the night before. But it didn't. Nothing could. The truth was stuck under my skin now, itching, burning, screaming. Ryan Mitchell. I didn't know him, but his name was tattooed all over our phone bill. A consistent ghost. There at midnight, there during lunch breaks, there when she said she was at yoga. I needed to see it for myself. I couldn't breathe without it. So I did something I never imagined I'd do. I hired a private investigator. A buddy of mine, Cole, from back in high school. Ex-military. Clean-cut. Trustworthy. He didn't even blink when I told him the situation. "Give me 3 days," he said. "I'll bring you the truth." 3 days. Those were the longest 3 damn days of my life. I went home like nothing happened. Acted normal. Kissed Olivia on the cheek. Told her work was busy. Played the fool to perfection. And God, she was so comfortable lying. She scrolled on her phone beside me in bed, smiling at texts she wouldn't show me. When I asked her what was funny, she said, "Just something Jessica sent." Sure, Jessica. She started dressing different, too. Skimpier, flashier. Said she was rediscovering herself. Like she was some lost child who needed stilettos and push-up bras to feel seen. I watched her walk out the door in dresses I hadn't seen before, perfume trailing behind her like a warning. And then came the night Cole called. "Got something for you," he said. "Meet me at the lot behind Sinclair's. Come alone." Felt like something out of a bad movie. But this was no fiction. This was my marriage bleeding out on the pavement. Cole handed me a manila folder. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Olivia and Ryan, laughing in his car, holding hands at a restaurant 2 towns over. Her in that red dress I thought she wore to dinner with her sister. And one photo that turned my blood cold, them entering a hotel. Her arm around his neck, his hand on her waist. I didn't even know I was crying until Cole put a hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry, man," he said. "She's been seeing him for a while. At least 6 months. Maybe more. 6 months. Half a year of my life wasted on a lie." I thanked him, barely managing to get the words out, and drove home in silence. No music. No thoughts. Just a dull roar inside my head like static. She was already asleep when I got back. Or pretending to be. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I leaned over and peeked. "Ryan Mitchell, can't stop thinking about you. You were incredible last night." I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself. Evidence. Proof. Not because I needed it. I knew now, but because she was going to try to lie. I could feel it already. I lay beside her that night and stared at the ceiling, wondering how I'd ever believed her voice, her hands, her words. She used to whisper, "I love you," like it meant something. Now, it was just another trick in her book. But I wasn't going to explode. Not yet. I was going to let her bury herself in the lies a little deeper. Let her feel safe. Then I'd strike. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't shouting or rage. It's truth. Delivered cold. I waited 3 more days. Not because I was unsure, but because I wanted to watch her crumble under her own weight. Olivia was walking around our house like a runway model, floating on the high of her little double life. She had no idea I knew. That was my power, and I held onto it like a blade tucked under my sleeve. She was humming that morning, actually humming while she cooked her egg white omelet in my kitchen, wearing one of my shirts, pretending to be a wife. I sat at the counter, sipping coffee and imagining how different she'd look once the mask came off. "So," she said, flipping eggs like we were normal, "I might go see Jess this weekend. Girls' night. We could use it." I smirked. "Girls' night, huh?" She turned, smiled. "Don't look so suspicious. You know how we are." Oh, I knew. That night, I invited her to dinner. Just us. A little Italian place we used to go before things got warped. I told her I missed spending time together. She smiled like a fox pretending to be a lamb. She dressed up like it was prom. Low-cut black dress, heels too tall for comfort, lipstick the color of blood. She looked like temptation and hell rolled into one. Over candlelight, she giggled, played with her straw, asked about my day like she gave a damn. I played along, laughed at her jokes, talked about work, and waited. Once dessert came, I leaned forward and said, calm as a whisper, "So, who the hell is Ryan Mitchell?" Her face didn't change for a second. That's how good she was. That instant, blank reaction, it chilled me. Then, she blinked, tilted her head, and said with a laugh, "What? Who?" That fake confusion. That was her move. Act clueless. Delay. Redirect. "Ryan Mitchell," I said again. I slid my phone across the table, open to the photos Cole had taken. "This ring a bell now?" She looked at the screen. One photo, then another, then another. Her smile didn't fade, it died. Then, in classic Olivia fashion, she rolled her eyes and pushed the phone away. "Oh, come on. That's what this is about? You had me followed. That's your takeaway?" I asked, leaning back. "You getting banged in a Holiday Inn? And you're mad I caught you?" She scoffed. "You're so dramatic, Daniel. It wasn't even that serious. Not that serious." That's when I felt the rage rise. Not hot, but slow and thick, like oil. I kept my voice level. "How long?" She shrugged. "Few months, maybe. I don't know. I didn't exactly keep a calendar." My knuckles went white around my glass. "And you just what? Needed something on the side? Got bored?" She sipped her wine, calm as a corpse. "Honestly? Yeah. I got tired of being married to a guy who's always working, always tired, always safe. Ryan makes me feel alive." I laughed once. Cold. Hollow. "So you sleep with another man because I was building a life for us?" She smiled, venomous and bored. "You built a life for yourself. I was just along for the ride." And there it was. The truth in its most brutal, raw form. She never saw me, never respected me. I was just the background to her vanity parade. I stood up without another word, threw $200 on the table, and left. Let her figure out the ride home. That night, I packed a bag, took my files, my laptop, left the house before she got back. Blocked her number. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was done. It's funny. When you finally walk away from the person who broke you, the silence doesn't bring peace. It brings an echo, a loud, crashing echo of every moment, every lie, every damn time you ignored your gut. I stayed at a cheap hotel for the first 2 nights. It smelled like bleach and regret. The bed was stiff, and the lamp buzzed when I turned it on. But it was quiet. No fake kisses. No perfume masking guilt. Just me, the ceiling, and the truth. The truth that I'd married a woman who never actually loved me. Only the life I built. I stared at the ceiling for hours those first nights. My chest felt hollow, like something vital had been scooped out and never returned. I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. I just lay there paralyzed. That kind of numbness that feels like grief wrapped in confusion. How the hell did I get here? I kept asking myself that over and over. I replayed every moment. Our first date, our wedding day, that stupid beach trip where she said, "I've never felt safer than with you." All of it lies. I felt like a man who'd been cast in a movie he didn't realize was fiction. My life wasn't what I thought it was. My wife wasn't who I thought she was. And worst of all, I wasn't who I thought I was either. Because deep down, I knew I saw it coming. I saw the signs months ago, maybe even years. But I ignored them. I chalked them up to stress, to changes, to, that's just how marriage works. No, that's how manipulation works. Olivia didn't just cheat on me with her body. She betrayed me with her words, her laughter at my expense, her silence when I needed her most. And the more I thought about that dinner, how does it feel being the most useless one here? The more I realized, she was never on my team, never had my back. She enjoyed tearing me down. It wasn't just cheating. It was mockery. She made a joke out of me, and the whole room laughed. Now they could laugh without my money. I quit paying her sister's rent, cut off the streaming accounts, froze the joint cards, Called the lawyer first thing Monday. I was done being the bank. Done being the safety net. Let Olivia figure out how alive Ryan makes her feel when she has to split gas money for their motel getaways. But here's what no one tells you about betrayal: it lingers. I'd be fine 1 minute, then catch the smell of her shampoo in a hotel hallway, and suddenly my throat would tighten. Or I'd scroll past a couple laughing on a bench and feel something sharp twist in my chest. It wasn't jealousy. It was loss. A loss of time, of trust, of who I used to be before she made me question everything. Cole checked in on me, brought me burgers and beer like we were back in college. He didn't say much, just sat with me in that silent room, letting me process. "You still got your pride," he said eventually. "She can't take that unless you give it to her." That hit hard, because I realized I had been giving it away for years, piece by piece, compromising, shrinking, quieting myself for her comfort. No more. I didn't just lose a wife, I lost the illusion of love. But maybe that's the beginning of something better. A week passed. Then two. No calls, no texts, just silence. Well, not real silence. Olivia tried, of course. After I froze the cards, I got a string of furious emails from her, one after another, like little bombs, each one angrier than the last. "You're acting like a child. You embarrassed me in front of my family. You're blowing this out of proportion." That one made me laugh. Blowing it out of proportion? Like catching your wife wrapped around another man was just a misunderstanding. There was no apology, no regret, not a single damn line that sounded remotely like remorse. Just blame. Pure, delusional blame. The classic Olivia playbook. She could burn the house down and say it was my fault for not fixing the smoke alarm. I didn't respond. Instead, I started piecing my life back together. Moved into a short-term rental. A small place with mismatched furniture and creaky floors. But it was mine. Quiet. Honest. No perfume in the air. No passive-aggressive sighs. No lies hiding behind lip gloss. My lawyer, Andrea, was sharp and blunt. She read through the emails, the messages, the photos, and looked up at me with raised brows. "You want to play nice? Or do you want to win?" I thought about it. Thought about the years I wasted. The money I poured into her lifestyle. The nights I came home dead tired just so she could complain I never take her anywhere fun. "I want her to feel it," I said finally. "Not just legally. I want her to understand that she lost a good man." Andrea nodded. "Then let's proceed without mercy." The divorce process began. Papers were filed. Assets reviewed. The car she loved? Leased in my name. The credit cards? Also mine. The house? Bought before we got married. I watched the entitlement drain from her face the day she realized what she wasn't getting. She called me that day, blocked number, of course, and left a voicemail. "You're really gonna do this to me, Danny? After everything I gave you? Everything she gave me?" That was the moment I knew I'd made the right choice. The only thing Olivia ever gave me was headaches and doubt. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted closure. One night, about a month after I walked out, she showed up at my new place. No warning, no call. Just knocked on the door like it was still her world. She looked tired, makeup smeared, mascara under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy knot like she hadn't been sleeping. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. I stood in the doorway, didn't let her in. She bit her lip, looked down and said, "I miss you." I let that hang in the air for a moment. Then I said, "You miss the life I gave you." She opened her mouth to object, but I cut her off. "You didn't miss me when he had his hands on you. You didn't miss me when you laughed at me with your sister. You missed me now because it's inconvenient to live without me." Her eyes welled up, but I didn't care. I had bled enough. "This is done, Olivia," I said quietly. "I hope he was worth it." I closed the door, and just like that, it was over. No fireworks, no big emotional collapse, just peace, the kind that only comes after war. The thing no one tells you after betrayal is that even when they're gone, their voice lingers. Not just in memories, but in your thoughts, your doubts, your reflection. You don't just lose them. You lose the version of you that trusted them. The first few mornings after shutting the door on Olivia, I woke up expecting chaos, expecting an angry text, a dramatic voicemail, maybe even another uninvited visit. But nothing came, just stillness. And to be honest, that was scarier than rage. Because silence meant it was real. She was really gone. And I was really alone. I'd like to say I woke up on day one, hit the gym, turned into a motivational poster, and never looked back. But that's not how rebuilding works. Rebuilding hurts. It's slow. It's clumsy. Some mornings I couldn't eat. Some nights I'd wake up in a cold sweat thinking I heard her voice, only to remember she was someone else's problem now. But every day, a little more of her voice faded. And mine got louder. I started doing things for me. Early jogs with music blasting in my ears. Cold showers, not because I was punishing myself, but because they snapped me awake. I threw away clothes she bought me. Tossed out the expensive cologne she picked just because it made me smell rich, and filled my fridge with what I wanted. It was like burning the last fingerprints of her off my skin. I reconnected with people I had let slip away while I was too busy playing the good husband. Guys I hadn't had a beer with in years. My brother, who always warned me Olivia was bad news but kept quiet out of respect. Even my dad called. That meant something. He said, "I've never been prouder of you. Not because you walked away, but because you didn't lose yourself in her wreckage." I didn't cry, but I damn near did. At work, my crew noticed the change. I was sharper, more focused. Hell, even lighter. No one said anything at first, but I caught the way they looked at me differently. Like I was finally back in my own body. Then came the real test. Running into Olivia and Ryan. Yeah, it happened. I was out grabbing takeout one Friday night, just craving a burger and some quiet. And there they were, walking toward me down the sidewalk like the universe had a sense of humor. Her hand in his smile smug, hers forced. She froze when she saw me. Ryan didn't know who I was. Not at first. He looked confused, then slowly put the pieces together. I didn't flinch. I just looked at her, then at him, and nodded once. "You can keep her," I said, walking past. "No refunds." That hit her hard. Her eyes followed me, but I didn't turn back. I didn't have to. She was no longer mine to carry or fix. Because by now, I wasn't the broken man standing in a hotel room crying over receipts and lies. I was becoming someone stronger, cleaner, someone who survived fire and didn't just live to tell the tale. He built a new life from the ashes. No more pretending. No more shrinking. I was Daniel Brooks, builder of homes, rebuilder of self. And the next chapter? That was mine to write. Closure isn't a phone call. It's not her saying, "I'm sorry," or you hearing, "I made a mistake." It's a quiet moment when your heart finally stops checking the door for someone who's never coming back. And when that moment came for me, it didn't look like fireworks. It looked like a Saturday morning, coffee in my hand, sun breaking through the kitchen window of my new place. Peaceful, real mine. I'd been divorced for 2 months. The papers came through fast, thanks to Andrea, my lawyer. Olivia tried to drag her feet, claim she was owed more, whine about lifestyle adjustments. But she had no footing. Not after everything. Not with the photos, the receipts. The truth stacked up against her like bricks. In the end, she walked away with less than she expected. A lot less. Funny thing is, she still tried to keep in touch after it was all finalized. Little breadcrumbs. An accidental text. A comment on an old Instagram post. Even a voicemail where she was crying. Real tears, maybe. But I didn't listen long enough to care. I deleted every one. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't even feel anger. I felt nothing. And that was the freedom I didn't know I needed. I started saying yes to life again. I joined a boxing gym. Not to fight anyone, but to fight back against the version of me she almost created. The tired, drained, obedient version. That guy? He's dead and buried. Work got better too. Not just busier, but more meaningful. I took on a big renovation project upstate. A full gut job on a century-old farmhouse. Every nail I drove into that place felt symbolic. Like I was rebuilding myself with every hammer swing. Then came Lily. I wasn't looking for anyone. The idea of dating again made my stomach twist. But Lily wasn't like Olivia. She didn't play games. She didn't make me feel small or guilty for being who I was. We met at the hardware store, no joke. She was struggling to carry a huge bucket of paint, and I offered to help. Next thing I know, we're laughing over coffee in aisle 5 like we've known each other for years. We didn't rush into anything. Took it slow. Real slow. But talking to her felt easy. No filters. No tiptoeing. No pretending to be richer, cooler, or more polished than I am. Just real talk. Real smiles. She asked me one night, after a few months of seeing each other, "Do you ever think about her?" I didn't lie. "I used to," I said, "but not with love. More like a lesson I had to learn the hard way." She nodded. No judgment. No jealousy. Just understanding. That's when I knew I was healed. Not because I'd found someone new, but because I no longer needed to be angry at the old. Olivia was a storm, but storms pass. And when they do, they leave behind cleared skies and solid ground. That's where I was standing now. Grounded. Calm. Ready. Looking back, I don't regret walking away. I regret staying as long as I did. But maybe I had to go through the fire to appreciate the quiet. To learn what love isn't so I could recognize what it could be. If you'd asked me a year ago where I thought I'd be, I would have told you, married, planning a family, finally booking that trip to Greece Olivia kept whining about. I thought we were building a life. Turns out I was the only one with a hammer in his hand. Now I look around and see something better. Clarity. The kind that comes after pain, after disappointment, after walking through fire barefoot and coming out the other side with skin still intact. Closure didn't come with a ceremony. No fireworks. No final explosive argument. Came with small things, like waking up and not reaching for my phone, wondering if she texted, like not feeling sick at the thought of her voice, like seeing a happy couple on the street and thinking, good for them, without bitterness. There was a time I thought I'd never feel whole again. Thought I'd always carry her betrayal like a bullet wound that refused to close. But here's what I've learned. The wound heals. Not fast, not clean, but it does. And when it does, it makes you sharper, wiser, not colder, but more aware of your worth. I used to think being a man meant fixing things, holding the roof up no matter how much weight was crashing down, staying loyal even when it meant sacrificing my peace. That's not manhood. That's martyrdom. And no one respects a martyr until they're gone. So if there's one thing I'd say to any guy going through what I did, it's this. Stop trying to earn the love of someone who enjoys watching you suffer. The moment she laughed at me at that dinner, I should have known. The moment she looked me in the eye and lied like she was ordering a coffee, I should have walked away. But we don't walk away right away, do we? We want to believe. We want to fix. We think loyalty is love when, really, it's just fear in a tuxedo. I stayed because I was scared. Scared of starting over. Scared of failing. Scared that maybe I was the problem, but I wasn't. And if you're reading this, sitting in your car in some parking lot, questioning everything because her phone lit up with another man's name, you're not the problem either. You were just giving your heart to the wrong person. And I promise you, brother, that pain you feel now, it'll make sense one day. The sleepless nights, the shakes, the anger you choke down at dinner because you don't want your friends to think you're too emotional. It all leads somewhere. You'll wake up one day and realize you're not waiting anymore. Not waiting for her apology. Not waiting for her to change. Not waiting for closure. Because you already have it. Not from her, but from you. You gave yourself the gift of truth. And now you get to rebuild. Not the life she wanted. Not the one you forced to fit. But something real. Something that doesn't hurt to hold. I'm not perfect. I still have scars. But I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. And best of all, I'm not useless. No matter what her sister said. No matter how loud they laughed. Because now, the only voice that matters is mine. And I finally like the sound of it. Daniel Brooks. The man who walked out the door and never looked back.